What's up guys? Today we're going to go over how to make a melon slash pumpkin farm. This design uses a flag machine in order to harvest the melons and or pumpkins. What this allows is that the design is significantly cheaper than other ones might be, especially if the farm itself is very large. The mechanics of the farm are pretty straightforward. So the melons grow onto these grass lines here in the middle. A timer will periodically send down the flag machine to harvest all of the melons. When melons get pushed by a piston, they just drop as an item. So what ends up happening is the melons will either remain in the middle here, or they will go onto the farmland. If they remain in the middle, they will get pushed all the way to the end into the hoppers down here, and there's also some on the other end down there. If they're on the farmland, they will get collected by this minecart hopper, and the hoppers on the ends also get collected by the minecart hopper. And the minecart hopper then filters down into the central collection area. There's also a little station here where it will stop half of the time in order to filter out all of its items. So that's what this is here. Alright, so for the materials you'll need one chest, at least one chest. You can make more if you want the collection area to be bigger. 14 hoppers plus any that you make extra for the collection area. 2 sticky pistons, 2 observers, 4 slime blocks. They have to specifically be slime blocks, they cannot be honey blocks. You need 14 blocks that do not stick to slime blocks. I use obsidian, but you can use glazed terracotta. You can also use furnaces and stuff like that. You'll need 4 furnaces. These are technically optional, but I would recommend them for lag purposes. 4 comparators and then 1 normal piston. It can be a sticky piston, I guess, but normal ones are cheaper. Then you'll also need 3 redstone lamps. You can get away with 1, but I would recommend 3 because it looks better. And then 1 hopper minecart. The rest of them are just however many blocks you need for how long you build your farm, because you can build it as long as you want it to be. Shroom lights are optional, I just like the look of them. You will need dirt slash grass, because melons only grow on dirt and grass as far as I know. I use oak planks and glass for the rest of my building materials. You'll need enough water, you'll need enough melon seeds, and then you'll need enough power rails, probably not more than a stack. And then you'll need a whole bunch of normal rails, redstone dust, repeaters, some torches, some levers for the rest of it. And again, I can't count those things because I don't know how long you're building it, but plan on a lot of building blocks, a lot of melon seeds, and a decent amount of your redstone components. Alright, so to start off, we'll place the chest where the melons are going to go. This could be a single chest, it could be a double chest, you could do multiple levels if you'd like. I'm going to do a single chest because I like the symmetry. Then we'll place a hopper behind it, hold shift and then right click the hopper onto it, and then do the same thing with 3 more hoppers going into that hopper. So we have this situation, these hoppers are all facing into each other, and then this hopper's facing into the chest. Then we'll place whatever blocks, actually let's do oak planks. We'll do 4 here, and this is where the rails go. The demonstration, I did it, the rails on the ground, whereas this one I'm doing the rails elevated by 1 block. And then we'll place 6 blocks behind this one. And then this is where one of the rail lines will go. So that will extend down that way. And then we'll want blocks behind these hoppers as well. If you want to keep extending this out, then this is the second rail line. So, just place blocks elevated like that for all the rails. We'll also want to place a block here behind this leftmost hopper. We'll place normal rails here, and we'll just have it go down like that. We're going to have to replace some of these with power rails, but this is just so the rails aren't, they behave. Then we place power rails here, normal rails here, and then this rail goes all the way up, and then we place power rails on these 3, and then we go down like that. Now, on this part of the rails, we're going to want to put power rails every so often. I find putting them distance by 10 blocks, so we have power rails and we do 10 normal rails in between them, works just fine. So that's what I'm going to do. You can put them more frequently, but I would recommend against doing them less frequently than that. So I'm just going to extend these out as far as I think is necessary. Alright. Then I'm going to do just that. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then place a power rail. And we'll do that on both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we just do that all the way down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we just do that all the way down. So now I've done that. Back here, we could just connect them using normal rails. Nothing too crazy going on here. What I will say is that now we want to power all of these rails. I use levers, and this is how I did it with the design. So we just put levers on all of these power rails, on all the blocks, and we power them so that all the rails are powered. And then on the end, so one layer first. So on this one, we'll just put it on one of these side blocks. I'm going to do it on this block right here. We are going to use the middle for something else, but you can use this lever for on either side. Now for this part, we'll need to power a little bit differently. So we can either put redstone dust here or a redstone repeater. You can also put a redstone repeater on this one and it'll work just as well. I'm going to do it on this one because I think it'll look better. The reason it's a repeater is because we don't want to disable the hopper under it, and the hopper will get disabled if it's powered. So a repeater only powers the thing in front of it. We'll connect this up later, but it will need one repeater here. Alright, so next we want to build the ending parts of the flying machine. So we'll place 3 hoppers on top of these rails, and then we'll just place opaque blocks around it like this. These can be any blocks you'd like. I'm going to use planks. And we want to bring it out like this. These 3 blocks on this side, so like the side that the rails are on, are going to be the redstone lamps. Then also we want to do obsidian for the corners here, so it's still on the side that the rails are on. And then we also want to place 3 obsidian 1 block above the hoppers right here. This is so that the flying machine can fit comfortably in here and not get stuck to anything. The rest of the blocks can be anything you want, so I'm going to do wooden planks and then glass, just like that. And then on the other side, it's slightly different, very similar but slightly different. So on these 3, we do the hoppers, we then do the wooden planks, and I'll do the wooden planks all the way around. We don't need the lamps on this side. And then we want to do, again, in the corners, we do the obsidian here, the obsidian here. However, the 3 obsidian is 1 block further back, and that's just because the flying machine isn't symmetric. The rest of them can be planks, of course. So yeah, just like this, the 3 obsidian here is not above the hoppers, but it's just 1 block back. But otherwise, it's the same. Alright, so now that we have the endpoints, we can actually start placing the blocks. So on both edges, what we want to do is place 2 blocks on either end of the obsidian. And we'll just do like that. And then on the other edge, we'll do the exact same thing. And this is where the actual like melons and water and stuff go. So we want to have 1 block in the middle that isn't grass. And that's because the observer will break if you, like the observer on the flying machine will break if you put grass in the middle. So 1 block that isn't grass, and then we do 2 blocks that is grass. So the melons grow onto this one, the melons are on this one. And we do it on the same side. And then we have 1 block down on this side in order to have the water, and I usually do both of these blocks right here. Same thing on this side. And I'll just go all the way down, I think, actually. That's there's a little rail there. And then this side goes over here like that as well. This is where the water goes, but this will extend all the way down to the other end, so I'll do that real fast. Alright, so I did exactly that. I extended all the blocks down. I replaced the block that the water will be on with the shroom lights that we can see into this area later. Again, totally optional. The shroom lights could just be any block. And then all I did is extend it all the way down to the end here. And then I also put a block under this so that you don't see the dripping water. Alright, so now what we want to do is place all the water, which I'll do real fast. And then we can put glass on top of it. The glass on top of the water is necessary. You need a block on top of the water so that melons don't get pushed into the water too terribly often. Very rarely I'll see melons work their way into on top of the water somehow, and those don't get collected, but it's so rare that I don't think it's worth making it where the rails go and collect that as well. But you need a block on top of it. I just do glass because I think it looks better. Alright, so we'll fill this in. and then we'll just place glass on top of this. And we'll do 2 blocks up. And let's actually do all 4. We'll do all 4 blocks here on both sides. And then I'll just build all the way down. All right, so I just extended out those glass blocks all the way to the ends. And now we can start filling in the flying machine along with our melons. All right, so next we can place down the melon seeds. That will go on the grass blocks that are right next to all of the water. So I'll just do that real fast. So this side and this side. All right, so now that we have all the melon seeds down, we can build the flying machine. So I'm going to build it on the front side because I think it's the easiest, so the side with all of this stuff on it. You do an observer facing down on the middle, so the line that you have this non-grass block thing. And also, the reason for this being not grass is because as the flying machine flies by, the grass would turn to dirt, and that screws up the observers, and then your flying machine will break. So it has to be a block that doesn't change. So you observe straight down in the middle. You do slime blocks right here, and then we do, so what any block you want here. I can use wood planks. In the demonstration, I use gold, and then we do a sticky piston facing in on the middle here. So in the middle, they're facing it that way. On this one, we face it the other way. We do a sticky block here, and then we face an observer up, facing up. The redstone part goes into the sticky block. All right. And now what should happen is that when we trigger these redstone lamps, which I can simulate by using a torch, it should launch the flying machine and it should stop all the way down there. So let me fix this up real fast. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to make a timer so that this gets launched periodically from side to side. So in order to do that, we're going to make a slow hopper timer. And if you want a more in-depth view of how it works, you can check out the clock video. But essentially, how you build it is you'll need comparators, you'll need your hoppers, and you'll need some furnaces. You'll also need just any random item, so I can use like dirt or something. And you're going to need about 3 stacks of a random item. It doesn't need to be exact, but just around 3 stacks is fine. So what we do is we place 2... one more block over. This doesn't really matter exactly where it is, but here we place 2 hoppers facing into each other, like that. So they're facing into each other. We place furnaces on top of that, and that's just for lag, so that they're not constantly querying for items on top of them. We place 2 opaque blocks next to it. So it can't be like glass or anything, it has to be opaque. We put comparators facing out. We do 2 more blocks. We need redstone torches. So we do redstone torches here. And then on top of the comparators, we can shift click and we again face 2 hoppers into each other, like so. And then what we do is we put the comparators here and here so that they go into our furnaces here. And then on top of this, we place another set of furnaces. What we want to do is place 1 item in the bottom set of furnaces, and you'll see it, flipping back and forth like this. And then we place the rest of them in the top hoppers. So what will happen is that the top hoppers, as they run out, they will remain in the position until they run out and they switch, and then they will switch torches, and that is how we do our timer. So next, what we want to do is attach a way to make this where it sends stuff. So like I said, these torches will flip when it's done. So here, I'll do it. Right, so now it just flipped. So when it flips, we want to send the flying machine, and the easiest way, I think, is to use a piston on the observer. So what we'll do is we'll put a piston right next to the top of the observer, like so. And this block doesn't need to be there. I'm going to put it there because it doesn't matter. And then we wire this up to the piston. Block there, and then we just kind of wire it up. So what will happen is that when this switches, this will switch, and then it will send the flying machine. So like if we, simulate that it switched and put a block here, it'll do that. Now what we need to do is we need to do the same thing on the other side, which means we need to wire something all the way over there. So I wire it just directly from this. So I bring it down here, and again, this can be done however you'd like if your base is set up slightly different. And make sure you don't go too far with the redstone dust without using a repeater. So I'm going to use a repeater here, and then I do it through the middle. So I go down, and we don't have a minecart, so I don't need to like worry about not screwing it up. And then I bring it up. I'm going to do another repeater here, just in case. And I guess now we can actually see how exactly far it goes. Will it reach here? No, well, all right. So a repeater randomly somewhere in the middle. And then I do a repeater on each set of levers. And you need to do that because if you don't, what will happen is the redstone will get powered by the levers. So it's very important that you put repeaters next to these levers. If you don't want to deal with that, you can just do this and like do this all the way down where it's one block down. The easiest way to tell that this is working is when you're at the end, just make sure that this is off at this end and make sure it's also off at the other end. So we'll go here, repeater, and then we'll go down, another repeater, down, repeater, down, repeater, repeater, and then repeater. Now what we want to do is make it where a torch goes into these redstone lamps. Because just like the piston on the other side, these redstone lamps are what sends it from this side. So we put a redstone torch facing into the lamps in the middle here. And then we do either a redstone dust or a redstone repeater into this block. I just do a repeater just to be safe. Because there's a lot of levers here. Redstone dust is pretty, odd to work with if you have a bunch of sources around. So then this will periodically change, either way, whenever the timer goes. So let's get out and fix this. All right. So yeah, the flying machine's on this side, and it will get sent back. And now this should work minus the fact that we don't have our hopper minecart. So we'll grab that real fast, and we'll just put it on the station over here. Now we have one last thing to do, and that is powering the station itself. So what I did is I just attached it to the timer over here, so the line we just brought down. So this can be done however you'd like in the most manageable way possible with your base. I go under this part right here, which is super awkward, but it is what it is. And I guess we're going to have to use redstone dust. Well, yeah, we're going to have to use redstone dust here specifically. And then we're going to grab the signal with a repeater. And I'm just going to make sure that that's not getting randomly powered by anything. Nope, we're good. All right. So you grab it with a repeater like this. You have to make sure that this dust is facing into this block or else the torch will not get turned off. So if I can't do like a dust here or else the torch will turn back on. And then we bring this over to our thing. So what will happen is that when this is off, when this is off, it will allow the minecart to just sit here and clear out all of its items. Because if you don't do that, it will collect the items faster than it can clear it out here, or here rather. So it stops at half the time. As long as your hopper clock is less than 5 minutes, then you don't run the risk of having items get deleted. So make sure there's only like 3 stacks in there. Don't do like 5 or else it'll be too long. And in this case, I'm just going to fill in the extra blocks that are there. So now it should work, barring the fact that none of my melons are grown. But let's see, if I go place some real fast. When the timer goes off, we can test to make sure that it will work. I also want to say that sometimes in rare instances, the minecart can get kind of stuck here. I think this is okay because it's still tilted, but if it goes too far down, it will actually get stuck there when the power rail turns back on. If that's an issue, what you can do is you can lower this power rail and this rail right here. Actually, all 4 of them, lower them all by 1 level, so that this power rail is there. Let's see, is it on? Yeah, so see it's broken right here, so it's not running. It's really rare that that happens, but it does happen. So to fix it, we can lower this and then just have it go back up again. So in that case, it has 2 tiles to go, and say it was like here, right? It was right there about. So now it's completely fine. I will say this is breaking all of our melons, right? So we can test to make sure that this is working before. So then if you lower this, you also need to make sure that this is down a level as well. We don't need that anymore. And we can just repeater that into it. And now it's fixed. And I mean, the power rail gives it enough power to go back up this one right here. And then we have the power rails immediately after right here. I've AFK'd for like 3 hours before and haven't had it break. But for some reason on the tutorial version, because this is slightly shorter than the demonstration one, for some reason it's done that a few times. But this should fix that problem if that's happening. So now that my cart's going around, we can see that it's collecting some of the melons. Not all of them, but some of them. Then we'll see that, actually I can just simulate it. I'll simulate that the timer just flipped, so now the minecart will stop. Or actually it just flipped, actually. It'll stop on top of the on top of the hopper, and it will then clear out all of its melons, and this is why we need to do that, because it gathers the melons a lot faster than it can clear it out just by going on these two things, so we need to stop it half the time. So we can see it's working like that, perfectly fine. And the flying machine will just continue going up and down and harvesting your melons. Alright guys, that'll be it for this video. Let me know down in the comments if you have any issues or general suggestions. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.